Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload Podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing.
Welcome to the Kaioken Podcast. I'm
Say
your
what?
host.
Wait.
What? Oh, wrong thing. My bad. The Progressive Overload
There it
Podcast.
is.
I am here today with Joseph the Almighty and
Yes.
Adam the Great.
I love those names.
Well, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Can that be my fighting name?
The Great.
The Great?
The Great One.
It'd be like a wizard or something.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like when you say that.
Adam the Wise.
Yes.
Well, I'm good with that too.
Yeah. What y'all been up to?
Just making another day.
I have been busy working on my gym.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you.
I have conned my dad into help me hang drywall.
Oof.
So he's the best dad ever,
Yeah.
and employee of the year for sure. He's carrying the
Probably
team
super
right now.
cheap too.
Yeah, yeah. I brought him some water the other day. That was his pay
That was
for
his
the day.
wages.
Yeah. So
Wow.
Gonna call Adult Protective Services on you.
Yeah,
For
that's right.
that senior labor.
no, it's been good though, man. But I've been sore because I've been working out on top of all the ladder climbing and everything
Right.
I'm not used to doing.
Right.
And man, when you do something you're not used to doing, your body lets you know the next day. like,
Absolutely.
we don't do this enough.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Oh, that reminded me I think like last week I worked out at the Y at a late night. And I was going for kind of a cool down in the basketball area and started playing some basketball, and then a couple guys were like, "Hey, you want to hit up on 3-on-3?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I don't, but I don't want to back down on this." So jumped in there, and I have never been that sore.
Little competitive spirit got a hold of you, huh?
Goodness, man.
Yeah.
I was sprinting, cutting,
yeah.
jumping.
Mm-hmm.
My calves were on fire. Like my knees were buckling. Like that's how much of athletic shape out of athletic shape that I am. It was rough, but man, it was so much fun. It was so much
That's the best way
so
to
good to
work
get
out.
back into that kind of
I'm
competitive
sorry
spirit.
that happened to you, but it brings me so much joy to hear you talk about it because I realize now, where I'm at, if guys asked me to play, I'd be like, sure, let's do it. And I'd do the same thing, but I would be so hurt the next day.
Yes, dude. We need to go shoot some hoops at least, man.
We can do it.
I would love to.
I'm not a basketball player.
No.
Well, then we'll play 21. And
Did you ever play basketball?
No, it's not a contact sport. And,
Well,
and-
it is for some people.
well, it would definitely. I would get kicked out every time. I think
You'd foul out
Yeah,
before
I'd
the
foul out
first
every-
quarter.
My sister played, and we have a lot of the same attitude, and she
Yeah.
fouled out every game.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Was basketball your sport, Adam?
Basketball was my sport of choice. I don't know if it was my sport, but it was the one I chose.
it's the one he was forced into because he's 6'5" or
That's
whatever.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And semi-athletic. So, yeah, it was one that I enjoyed. It's one that I enjoy playing still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You and your
And
kids play a lot together, right?
We do. We like to play. My daughter's currently in basketball, and she's getting better, all the time.
Sweet.
And so
That's
it's good for me to play with them, and then it's good for me to really play sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You play to their level, and then when they get cocky, you have to really
Yes.
play and show them,
Yes.
yeah, you need to take it down a notch.
Yeah, I let you win.
Sometimes,
No,
yes.
no, not in my house.
Yeah, not in my house. We do that.
Yes.
And so it's been good though. She takes it well, and so she's learning
Yeah.
and doing, and so we have a good time doing it.
That's
Well,
good.
good.
That's good.
Yep. So that kind of puts us into a position where we can talk about what we want to today.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to say this. You made this wonderful pyramid, Joe,
Mhm.
of
Did.
all of these things. And so we're talking about how to approach your fitness journey post-athletics.
Post-athletics.
Is
yeah.
that a good way to say that?
Yeah.
So post-athletics, there are 3 points that you put for us to look into, or at least to address. And
Right.
one is longevity, one or lifestyle. One is aesthetics.
Mhm.
You like how I said that?
Yeah.
And
Avoided
then
that one.
performance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those 3 things they're related, but they can be separate. And
Yeah.
so you want to make sure that you're finding balance somewhere with those. And we'll talk about that today.
Right.
So,
for sure.
I don't know, maybe for the people that are watching or people online, you can put a link to this. You can just put
I think this is as advanced as I'm going to get with it by holding this paper up so
Okay.
they can see it.
There you go.
Because I am not technologically advanced enough to have this on the
Right.
video.
Yeah,
I'm sure we could get up there, but go ahead.
So the top one is longevity / lifestyle. The bottom right is performance, and the bottom left is aesthetics.
Yeah. So we just have a triangle with
Yeah.
with those three tips.
The Holy Trinity, if you will.
The Holy Trinity. Ah! And so basically the way we wanted to approach this episode is talk about, I think I've made the point before how in fitness and kind of in the Bible, you can't serve more than one God. Kind of. And the way I approach this triangle is you can't have the most perfect physique with the most amazing performance and just be totally healthy and have the perfect body for longevity at the same time.
Sure.
And so the more you go, like if I'm holding up this triangle, the more you go on the aesthetic performance side, the further away you are going to be from the longevity side of it. Or if you focus on the aesthetic and longevity side, you may not be as good of a performer athletically or physically as you could be. And so that's kind of the way we work this triangle. And I definitely will post a picture of it so that people can see it. But man, athletics. So for the longest time, athletics was my identity. Like I played a little bit in college, nothing to be proud about or to brag about or anything like that. But like I said before, I was a really good bullpen catcher. It was awesome, which means like third string. But in high school especially, like it was who I was. It was Joe the baseball player or Joe the athlete or and so that a big part of my fitness journey a bit of my fitness testimony, as you would say, is having to learn how to exercise after I leave sports. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so Tyson, you're still kind of in the middle of it, huh?
I am. But I definitely see the fighters that are after they get done fighting and they're retired and stuff, right. And sadly enough, a lot of them are so burnt out that they just go and sit on the couch,
exactly,
and literally do nothing,
right?
And it's like it was their job to work out all the time to be prepared for these fights, and now it's like, oh, finally I'm retired, I don't have to go to work, and so they just let themselves go,
exactly, yeah.
Started eating pizza and drinking beer, and it's not pretty,
right? No,
so. Yeah. So I would say that one of the best things you can do, no matter what, is at least just keep up with some form of health exercise. Right. Do the bare minimum at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want to go ahead, Adam.
I was just thinking about the bare minimum.
Yeah,
I am a professional bare minimum gym goer. I can push it,
right.
But typically I do not because I'm just not at that point anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't have to. I don't need to prove anything. I don't,
It's maintenance.
It's maintenance.
And longevity.
That is a great thing. And so if you're looking at the triangle, mine is heavily pointed towards the top of the triangle at longevity and lifestyle, which takes its toll on my performance and the way I look. So it does work, this whole triangle concept. Yeah. I feel like Phil Jackson, and we're running the triangle offense with the Bulls. Nobody except for me probably gets that reference.
I'll admit it did go over my head. That's okay.
Unbelievable, Joe, that a reference went by you.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh,
okay, I'm just kidding. So back to this subject at hand. What do we do? You said at least find something to do, right, Tyson?
Yeah.
And I remember going kind of like you, Joe. I was in athletics all the way through high school, and then even into college, I got into intramural sports, which is not the same. You don't have to train for them. You don't have to prepare for them. Technically, we practiced and we did some things, but I played basketball and softball and all the stuff that you could get into.
Of course.
And it kept me, active at least. Mm-hmm. But when you get out of college, then you're looking for that next thing to do. And so that's typically where you would jump into gym membership. And how would you view gym membership as a part of that process? Is that a necessity for people?
Well, I mean, having access to something to strength train is important. You don't have to have a gym membership. I mean, if you have stuff at home to do, that's great too. But yeah, I mean, that's the first step is just understanding, okay, I'm not an athlete anymore. Why do I want to work out now? Or so kind of redefining your purpose, redefining your goals is kind of one of the first steps you have to do, is just understanding I'm not training anymore to be the fastest person on the field. I'm not training anymore to be the one who can jump the highest or hit the hardest or whatever that looks like in your scenario. Redefining kind of, okay, I don't have a coach telling me I have to be in the gym at 5:30 this morning with my team. I don't have a team depending on me to be there. I don't have a team depending on me. There's so many of these outside motivators, outside sources of kind of inspiration or whatever that looks like. And so now it's like all you. It's all on your intrinsic motivation and your own mindset, figuring out what's going to get you started.
Yeah, you're going to have to find a new why.
Exactly.
And
so find a new why.
So let me ask you this, Tyson. Share with our listening audience how, if you want, your age.
Oh, I'm 28.
28.
Yes, sir.
Gosh, I forget. You're just such a baby.
I'm an old man now.
28. Old man in what? Fighting?
In fighting age.
Okay, let's talk
well,
about
I'm not
that.
even in my prime in fighting age yet either.
No.
Okay, so what is the prime fighting age?
I would say 32 is probably your prime, and that's because that's where your knowledge has eclipsed along with your ability. Right.
Okay.
So you have the wisdom, you have the experience at this point. You've been through a few fights, you've been through some wars. You should at this point have a pretty good understanding of how to fight, but you still also are young enough to have the energy to be able to perform and perform at your max.
Right. So physically, you can still do what your body and your mind tells you to do.
Right. It's like finally where your brain and your body are finally at their maximum.
Okay.
And it's a short window though.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and that's what I'm thinking, because my brain still tells me to go do basketball like you, Joe, and my body says, let's not.
Right.
And it varies depending on the activity level.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm more interested, for me, I guess, in, because we're talking about athletes or people that are post-athletic career.
Sure.
Well, it's one thing to do that in your 20s, to find that new motivation, there's no coach pushing me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
My team doesn't depend on me.
Right.
It's another thing entirely for you to redo that again in your 30s and in your 40s.
Right. Yeah.
Really, because you kind of have to go through that whole identity crisis of, I'm not an athlete. Now I'm athletic.
Yeah.
And now my athleticism for me is on the decline, and so now what do I do?
Right.
Well, my philosophy on that is as far as finding the motivation within yourself is you owe yourself that to maintain the things that you've already gained. Would you made all this progress to just throw it away and let it slip away?
Right.
No, you as a man or a woman, an athlete, you have worked hard enough to obtain a certain level of performance, and it's your job to maintain that as long as you can.
Right.
And I also feel like as we age and things get harder, sure, but it's still up to you and your it is your responsibility to maintain that for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids moving down.
There you go.
I know whenever I get up to that age, I still want to be able to chase around. I still want to beat up my grandkids.
Right.
I want to spar you, and I'm going to beat you up.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make fun of you.
I can see that. Just Grandpa Tyson
putting a whooping,
grappling with the grandkids, and just
the grumpiest old grandpa. Oh, come here, little whippersnapper.
Yeah, arm drag, choke them out.
That's You can't.
Yeah.
Now go clean up your room.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell your child, let me put them to sleep in a whole nother way.
Yeah, but I don't know. I get on a tangent, but as far as like philosophy, but like I said, as for me, I feel like a self responsibility to myself to maintain this as long as I possibly can.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
a good point.
For
Maintain as long as you possibly can.
And that goes into finding your own why, your new why, your new motivation.
Right.
Yeah. And that's longevity. That's thinking about the future. I mean, nothing will ever beat the motivator of wanting to be better for my kids and my family.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that's an ultimate motivator. But maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you're freshly out of high school and you're done. And like me, I mean, I didn't play much in college. So after I got married, quit playing. And that's when I put on all of my weight. I no longer had that coach on me. I was a young college student eating frozen pizzas, only stuff we could afford, or eating
ramen
every meal in the cafeteria at the college. And
I remember that.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and so I lost all of that, and it took me a long time to figure out my new why.
Right.
Yeah. But what athletes do well in the gym when they're training for performance is, I mean, there's a few things that they do well that we can transfer to longevity, of course, because I think it is important. I'm not an athlete anymore, but I think it is still important for me to try to, like you said, find my maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the ultimate fighter age is like 32.
Yeah.
I'm 31 right now, and I feel like I'm in the best place physically and mentally at the same time. I've been in better physical shape than I am right now, but it was all for the wrong reasons. And so I feel like I'm in a much better place now at 31 and I'm in a great place to just continue to succeed and to continue to like find out what my body can give me, basically. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to a guy just the other day about age. He's wanting to start training at my gym soon.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm 40. I don't know if am I too old to even start? I'm like, bro, just 2 weeks ago, I had a 40-year-old choke out a 26-year-old on TV.
Right.
Like, yeah,
right.
No, you're not too old, man. And
right.
Randy Couture won the heavyweight title at 46.
Yeah.
So, and I think, I know it's cliche, but age is just a number, but it's so individualized.
Right.
Right. How certain people are at 50 versus how someone else is at 50 can be completely black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm thinking about my age, because you guys have already said yours. I am 42. And 42. So
young buck.
Yeah, you know how it goes. Just a little grayer and a little less of gray. I get up every morning and wash my face all the way back. Just wash it until I hit hair. And so
good thing you got the shoulder mobility for that, getting your arms all
right.
the way up there.
Yeah, that was good for after surgery. So I'm thinking about that whole idea of how you look at 42 versus how you feel versus how you perform. And we're back to this whole triangle thing. But what would you tell somebody that is really worried about those things? Because I could care less if my hair falls out. I could care less if, I don't look
right.
like, just pick any actor. I don't care.
The aesthetic of things, right?
Yeah. That part of it. What would you tell somebody that's really struggling with that because of their performance or their age or their, whatever?
Yeah.
Well, what I would tell them, depending on where they're at, right? It's so hard for women, and I know I say that a lot. Like, I feel sorry for them, but but so often a woman's beauty, if you will, is so based on looking young. Like, everything is look younger, look like you're 25, or whatever else. And that's such a, and all the products that they sell talk about trying to euthanize the skin and
billion-dollar industry.
And blah, blah,
blah. Yeah. But that's such a thing that we put on ourselves, right? And I think learning how to be comfortable in your own skin and realize you are getting older. You are. We're all going towards a certain way, and we all will eventually die. And then once you get comfortable with that, I think that helps a whole lot with everything else.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then you can focus on the performance. You can focus on, am I as strong as possible? I mean, as you age, you are losing 10% of muscle every decade. So 1% of muscle you're losing every single year. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not putting on that 1% of muscle every single year, you're at a net loss there.
You're losing.
And so continue to focus on the performance and the strength and getting up out of the chair, playing with your grandkids, putting somebody's focus that, I want to look this way, I'm getting old, I'm getting wrinkly, getting their focus on longevity and performance off of aesthetics. They're going to be in a great spot.
Because, okay, so I think about this word and I think about what it means to me and how I look. And I realize that to me personally, my looks are they're probably more important to me than I realize. Sure. Like if something were to happen and I just, lost my face, that would be different,
Right.
Just a different circumstance. But I would think that with the aesthetics part of it comes a sense of you need to find intrinsic value. So I want to pivot that word from how I look to what I value.
Yeah, that's good.
And so if I think about my value, that doesn't come from how I look. You know, even scripture says your beauty fades, you know, for men, women, everybody.
Sure.
And that's the greatest indicator of age typically is how you look. You know, you're going to be able to pick out of a crowd that's an older gentleman or you know, a younger male or female. You're going to be able to pick it out just because of how you look. And so you have to figure out where does that value start.
Right.
And maybe it comes with finding people. That's why gyms are a great place, because most of the people that are in there have little to no care about how you look. You know, they just want to encourage you.
Right. Exactly.
And I say that carefully because people are there because they want to look good, feel good, perform well.
Yeah.
You know, and so those things matter, but how someone else perceives you probably in the gym does not matter as much to them.
No, not at all.
And we think that though.
Yeah.
It's so very little, actually. That's the thing is most people are so worried about themselves and how they look.
Right.
They look past you.
Right.
They don't care what you look like. They're so busy looking at themselves. And everybody thinks like, oh, man, they probably think that I'm ugly or whatever. They don't even care.
Right.
That's the word. But once you realize that, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
It's so freeing to realize that you're such a small amount of what they care about.
Right.
For some reason, it's comforting to me that like you don't care what I look like.
I want you to be healthy, but
Well,
you're
sure,
right. But I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care, right? I mean, if I shaved my head today, y'all would make fun of me, ha ha ha, and then that would be it, like back to no regular life, right?
Right.
A gesture that becomes less significant for me every day.
Yeah, right. You're a bad example.
But thank you. No, you're right. I would not care if you shaved your head.
There you go.
Okay, so longevity, the way we look, and then how we perform. This is kind of a big deal because that's where the mental game comes in for me.
Really?
Because it is for me because I realize just 10 years ago I could do such and such.
Right.
Fill in the blank.
Sure.
And now I can still do it, but man, do I have to really work harder for it.
Right. Yeah.
And so performance is I don't know. I look at performance maybe differently than you guys do. But
it's subjective.
It's because to me, if you were to put it on a bar graph, you know, your performance at 28 is still on the incline.
Right.
Yours is, you know, inclining and plateauing.
Yeah.
Mine is somewhere between plateaued and diving.
Right.
And really, and I'm not making fun of myself. I'm not making fun of the way that I work out because I have a lot to do with that. I can still make gains in the gym.
Yeah.
And that I want to make sure that people know that whether you're 40, 50, 60, 80, you can still make gains. The metric that you use to measure those with becomes different though.
Sure.
Right.
And so that's a critical part of performance to me.
Yeah. Well, and you should be so dang proud for the consistency and hard work that you've put in yourself, dude. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's super commendable. Every week I see you. Every week.
Yeah.
At least 3 times a week.
Yep.
Yeah. Minimum.
I'm there.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Swim in my laps.
Performance is subjective. Yeah. Performance to me looks like performing at a high level in the gym to where I'm lifting the max amount that my body can let me and trying to push that. But it also means I'm able to perform my daily duties as a dad and perform. I'm able to pick up and move my house with no help. And I'm able to, and that wasn't a dig at y'all. I was just saying, I didn't.
I'm so glad you didn't ask.
That's your fault, Joe.
And then, so yeah, performance is different for everybody. So you can define your own performance. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So when you look at this triangle, right, and I'll ask both of you, where do your values fall on that triangle? Because you can't have it all.
Yeah.
So where does it fall for you?
I would say for me right now where I am, I'm in the middle of aesthetics and performance.
Aesthetics and performance.
Yeah. Knowing that there's going to be some carryover for longevity, but at this moment, I'm just trying to look as good and be as strong as possible.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm on the other side of it. I'm between longevity and performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And heavily weighted to longevity.
There you go.
Right.
Because my goals are just different.
Right.
Right.
Because at some point, I realize my athletic career is going to be completely done. I won't be able to water ski. I won't be able to, and maybe that's a long time down the road.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
But, at some point, that does stop.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see 96-year-old men water skiing, at least
Very
not for
few.
very,
There's a few of them out there.
not
though.
for long. They're not
that's an outlier.
right. And I'm not poking fun at those guys, but at some point that's going to stop.
Right. You're right.
But
But that's what I was saying, though. Once you're comfortable with that, it will stop.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why, but it just lifts off my shoulders. Like, yep, I'm just going to have as much fun with this life as I can until then.
Yeah.
Right.
Where are you on the triangle?
Mine's pretty obvious. I'm all in on performance.
Right.
The only reason I lift is to fight better.
Exactly.
The only reason that I eat the way I eat is to fight better.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Yeah.
all. And like you said, there's carryover.
Of course.
It happens to make me look better, and
Right.
it happens to actually lengthen my life
Right.
to a certain extent because I'll sacrifice some longevity too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whenever I'm doing these water cuts and these weight
Oh,
cuts, that's not healthy.
No.
Whenever I almost get rhabdo because I run 6 miles every day or without
Yeah.
on a fast,
Yeah.
that's
Like
not
that.
healthy.
No.
Yeah. So I sacrifice a lot for the performance
Absolutely.
of things.
Yeah. And that's the truth of the triangle. If you're going to focus solely on one side, you're going to lose benefits of the other two categories.
Sure.
Yeah.
But eventually, just like you said, there's going to come to a day where I can't do what I want to do anymore.
Yeah.
I can't fight anymore.
Right.
So what do? Well, you switch over to the other side of the triangle. In my
Right.
opinion, I think everybody, when they get to a certain point, should switch over to longevity.
Right. For sure.
For
sure.
Yep. And so it changes the way that you lift in the gym. It changes the way that you approach even going to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some guys that come to the gym 2 or 3 times a week that are, maybe senior adults.
Right.
And that's what they need for
Mhm.
their longevity.
Right.
And they're not trying to hit those marks, like you guys.
Yeah. As an athlete, we're driven by the competition. If you're driven because the other guy's training to punch your face.
Right.
In football, we're training because we don't want to lose on the football field in that game day or whatever. And so how can we transition that just need of competition into a lifestyle type program? What kind of competitions can y'all think of?
I think of a weight loss competition
Yeah.
because we went
That
through
one's
one
pretty
last
obvious.
year. Yeah.
Right.
That was pretty good. Mine's easy. Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu?
Go join a gym, man.
Oh, okay.
Anybody who's an athlete that misses competing, go do grappling.
Yeah.
It's safe. You can go all out. You'll get a great workout in. You'll get a lot stronger right off
Right.
the bat just from moving other people's bodies around. Your cardio will increase. Your libido will increase. It's
Brown
all
chicken,
good,
brown
right?
chicken.
And then you can go compete in competitions all the
Yeah.
time, and there's no off season. So
That's
it's just
great.
whenever
That's
you
a
want
great
to.
answer. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're that ex-athlete who just strives for competition, I mean, yeah, slow pitch softball is great, but most people are drinking beer while they're playing their slow pitch softball games.
Right.
Go join a jiu-jitsu
gym. And that's the thing is,
that's
and,
great.
and there's age groups. You're not going to go against, unless you want to. I mean, there's open weight classes and stuff.
Right.
But, for the most part, if you want to join in just the masters where it's 40 and up
Right.
or even further than that,
Yeah.
do it.
I love that. And that's not something, I don't know much about jiu-jitsu, but I mean, that's not something like if a guy's a plumber and he requires his body to make his money and provide for his family, is that something he's going to, is he worried about getting injured?
Very
much?
rarely.
Yeah.
My philosophy on it, every time we spar, anytime competitions even go on, you got to go work on Monday.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself first. And in our gym, we say tap early and tap often. And what that
Gotcha.
means is whenever you get in a submission hold where someone's got your arm locked up,
Right.
tap.
Yeah.
Don't wait for it to go, I'm going to try to fight out of this
Right.
because you got work tomorrow
Right.
and your
That's
kids rely on you being able to
That's a great
provide.
point.
Right.
So tap early, tap often. Leave the ego at the door.
Right.
That's a great point. I'm glad you said that because even for me, somebody that's never competed in that way, never stepped in the ring with somebody, but your first initial thought is, let me get out of this.
Yeah.
Let me fight. Am I
Sure.
wrong in that?
No, that's.
But I think that's what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But as you learn and become more disciplined, and that's really what this whole thing is about, is becoming disciplined with these 3 areas of our life.
Right.
You tap early, you tap often.
And if you're training with good guys, they're not going to just rip your
Right.
arm off anyway. In
Right.
fact, most of the time when I land a submission, I'll let it go before I even get to the point where I'm even close to causing damage.
Right.
And I know in here, like I had it. you know. And most of if they know, they're high level enough, they're like, oh yeah, he could have tapped me here.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll go with some beginners and they're like, I got out of that. Like,
No, you didn't.
sure.
yeah, buddy.
Those guys are always going to be humbled very quickly. Huh?
Well, next time I'll grab a choke, and instead of breaking your arm, you'll just go to sleep.
Put you to sleep.
And then it's no damage. You'll wake
pants, up. Right. Some like another way that you could do that if martial arts isn't an interest of you. I mean, CrossFit's
Sure.
a highly competitive environment that you, if you're somebody who enjoys competition, I mean, that's a great environment for you.
Do they have age classes in CrossFit?
I mean, if you're competing, but if you're just going to a normal class, I mean,
go.
there's going to be all kinds of groups there. Yeah.
Okay.
Running's another good one.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to
5Ks.
say, like individualized sports,
Yeah.
where you're running against yourself,
Yeah.
Right.
or swimming against a clock,
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I do that sometimes in the pool,
Yeah.
because I realize I'm not going to hurt my body by
Yeah.
pushing myself in the pool.
Right.
I may take in some water if I can't breathe, but I'll swim against the clock, and
Right.
that's good enough for me. That's a new type of competition,
Right.
and if I lose, the only person that loses is me.
Sure.
And so I'm not hurting anybody or having to compete in that way, and that's good for me, and that's fine. And so you're just looking for that outlet, and I don't want to use this lightly, but it's almost like for athletes and ex-athletes, I understand the high that comes with the adrenaline that comes with game day,
Right.
and that's why early in my career I was in athletic training, and it was so good to me.
Oh,
It was really good for me as an athlete or an ex-athlete to be around game day, to be around the environment, to feel the energy on the sideline.
Sure.
And then when people got hurt, I had a job to do.
Yeah.
Take care of them, get them back on the field if possible. And it was stimulating in that way.
Right.
And it was really good. It was a really good outlet. But then
Yeah, I can see that.
even that is not part of my life anymore. And so I have to find new outlets
Yeah.
and a new way to get that high or buzz or whatever, the outlet for the adrenaline. So
Yeah.
just look around and do it safely.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you find an outlet that is that fits you and fits your family. Don't sacrifice your family just to go find it.
Right.
Talk to your wife, talk to your husband, talk to your family about it, and make that decision together. Maybe there's something your family can do.
Yeah. Another thing that athletes that I see ex-athletes do in the gym most of the time is just overtraining. They go in there and they try to just kill themselves in the gym. Just because if you're a high performing athlete, say you're a Division I athlete and you're coming off season, you didn't go to the next level. I mean, they're going to come in and they're going to just hammer themselves in the gym. So a lot of times I see athletes training way harder than they need to. And just like you said a while ago, doing that bare minimum or the minimum amount of exercise to produce the most amount of change is what's necessary for longevity.
Right.
Yeah. Well, some of the changes too as far as making a program, is there anything like advice you would give an ex-athlete as far as what would that be?
So for someone who's coming to me after athletics, they're like I said, they're going to be in that mode of, I want you to kill me, I want you to hammer me, I'm ready to feel a sweat, I'm ready to burn, I'm ready to be sore. What you need to do is just kind of do the opposite for them and let them do some really, really good powerlifting type stuff where they're doing a lift and then they're resting for 3 minutes in between. And, they're loading it up. There's that competition of trying to get stronger and stronger, but they're not, like I said, it's not as intense metabolically to where, they're just killing themselves. And so that's tends to work best for those people to try to get them out of that mindset of boot camp, hammer, sore type stuff.
I think a lot of lifters could learn a whole lot of the benefit of deloading.
Oh yes,
in the
very
middle of
good
their
point.
programs.
Very good point.
So often they just try to keep climbing that mountain
Right.
until something breaks.
Right.
A good deload in the middle of your program is super healthy and super important.
Please help
true.
me understand that word, because I'm ignorant of that.
So a deload set or a deload day would basically just be your regular workout with a smaller amount of weight.
Yeah,
lighter amount
like
of weight.
50% of your 1 rep max.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah,
Right. So if you're I can tell when I need a deload week. You know,
Right.
my body's like,
Yeah, your joints are telling you.
yeah, everything's telling me like,
Yeah.
hey, if you push today, you're
Yeah.
gonna regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in which case, okay, it's a light day today.
Yeah, but what some of the most amazing strength gains and muscle gains come when you come out of a deload.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's an amazing like phenomenon to feel like, okay, I'm going to take this week off. Like you can even have a deload week where you just take 5 days off. If you've been hammering it every single day for 6 months and you haven't taken any time off, and you take a week off, come back after that week, you are going to feel freaking strong.
Well, it's amazing. People don't realize that your muscle gets built when you're resting.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
breaking it down when you're lifting.
Yeah.
You know, so if you don't ever give it time to rest, well, you don't ever give it time to build.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Let's do a whole episode about deloading. I think that'd be a good idea. 'Cause
Okay.
we could talk
All
about it
right.
for a long time.
I can go over some of the programming that I've been doing.
Yeah, for sure.
That sounds
And
good.
I actually program in my deloads.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, they need to be programmed in. I rarely program them for my clients just because most of them are not
Pushing.
hitting it hard enough
Yeah,
to,
they're not
to
getting the
need
frequency.
a deload.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I'm doing an athlete or my own programming, it's in there for sure.
So, athletes beware. How about that? If you're coming out of your athletic life, beware of what you're heading into.
Yeah.
Make sure and talk to a healthcare professional, talk to a trainer. Don't be afraid to talk to your family about what that looks like.
Right.
But let me ask you guys this question. And Joe, you asked this morning, and I said I have an answer for it. Was Jesus athletic?
Yeah, I love that question.
Well, I'll tell you, every painting I've ever seen of Jesus, I mean, he is ripped.
He's
bro.
ripped.
I hope I can have abs like Jesus one day, bro.
You've seen a picture with Jesus and abs.
Go look at pull up Google right now,
Okay,
Jesus
so-
on the cross,
okay,
and
so
there
on
is
the
a ripped up Jesus.
Okay,
That's
on the
just true.
cross. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm thinking about the neck up Jesus, like
Oh.
that you
I
put in
got
the.
you, yeah.
I'm like, nah, that.
No.
I do wish I had his beard, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, beard game strong.
Yeah. So I said I have an answer to this, and I want to put it into
so curious.
terms of the crucifixion.
Okay.
Okay, so 12 hours leading up to the crucifixion, Jesus was beaten, he was flogged, he was basically in that culture. You would take a whip, and it would have bone or some kind of iron or something in it, and whip the person that you were going to crucify.
Right.
And your hands would be tied above your head. So just think about that for a minute. If you're going to be tied with your hands above your head, that takes some form of athleticism just to even stand there.
Right.
I mean, and then to be beaten and whipped, and whenever that whip catches your back, it's going to pull flesh out.
Yep.
It's going to pull, it's going to make you bleed. You're going to be a mess. And then after that, he had to take his cross and carry it to the place where he was going to be killed.
Yep.
And so I'm thinking about functional training now. It's like sled time. And
The Jesus workout.
yeah,
dude.
I mean seriously.
Yeah.
And so you think about how he had to do that, and these things were not light. Even if it was just the beam, not the full
Sure.
cross, just the beam. If you've ever taken a cross timber or a
A
railroad tie,
Yeah.
or something
dude.
of that nature, some kind of even a 4x4 that's 6 feet long to hold your,
Freaking heavy.
it's going to be heavy, and you're going to be carrying it after you've been beaten. And so he's sweating, and even scripture talks about how his sweat was like blood. He's dehydrated. And then he hung on the cross, and the guys that were with him, they hung that whole afternoon basically. And so on the cross, you would have to push your body up to breathe.
Yeah.
And so he would have to drive his back into the wood and push his body up to breathe. And he did that over and over and over. And that's how you die. It was an awful way to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to say the
Torturous.
least.
Yeah.
And it was designed to embarrass. It was designed to put people on display. I mean, just to humiliate them.
Right.
And I think about him doing that. And then the guys that were around him, they had to break their legs because it was taking too long.
Yep.
So they actually pierced his side, and so he died before because scripture said not a bone would be broken. So he died before that happened. But the guys close to him that were being crucified, they had to have their legs broken.
Yep.
So it took a while.
Yeah.
And even you think about Jesus being 100% God and 100% man, physically he had to have the capability to do that. So I fully believe Jesus was athletic. He probably had abs. And people say, well, he was a carpenter. Well, that's fine. But you think about going.
He was a carpenter in BC where
Right.
There were no power tools.
Right.
He didn't have a skill saw.
Right. And so, I don't know if he was ripped like Tyson's picture or if he just was.
No, not my picture. Everybody, hey, go look at any of Leonardo
Okay.
da Vinci's picture of Jesus. He's jacked.
Okay. So I don't know to what extent he had but in the triangle performance, he was able to do everything that God asked him to do.
Yep.
And
that's
so
right.
I fully believe he was athletic.
Jesus
think-
was athletic.
I think everybody back then was athletic, though.
Maybe.
To be fair, I
I
mean,
mean,
they walked everywhere they went.
Except for the kings.
yeah,
yeah,
except for
the-
the kings,
yeah.
I guess, or emperors or whatever.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
Well, I mean, yeah, they had to walk everywhere
everywhere
they
they
went.
went, carry
Yeah.
whatever they ate, they had to farm it or kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were hard people back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Our ancestors
go.
were something
So
different.
there you go. There's my answer.
So if you want to be fit, go get a job in construction and refuse to use power tools.
There
Yep.
you
There
go.
you go.
And do the Jesus workout. That's
Do
what
the
we'll
Jesus
call it.
workout.
Yeah,
The-
definitely.
The cross carries.
Definitely the performance and not so long the longevity though
Nope.
with this workout.
32.
Didn't work out for him. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um,
Man.
but he died for a very good reason. He died
Absolutely.
for you and me. So that's what.
That was good. Thank you for that perspective. I love
absolutely.
that.
Yep.
That's a good question.
So
Awesome.
that is a great question. All right.
Okay. Hey, listen, everybody, we're still offering coaching through our Patreon page. Go check it out, patreon.com/progressive overload pod. There's options there where you can support us. If you don't even want coaching, you just want to support our efforts, $5 a month will help us support that. There's many costs that go along with having to run this podcast and market it and all that fun stuff. And so if you want to see us grow, we would love for you to sign up for that $5 a month donation. We would be absolutely thankful for that. If you want some help with exercise, the next level is $15 a month, and that comes with a exercise program to get you going. If you want more tailored help, there's options for that too, where I meet with you one-on-one and design workouts for you personally. So look that up, and if not, just keep listening and sharing our podcast. Follow us on social media, see what we're doing, and be looking out for big stuff coming from Tyson and Ronin Strength, grappling. Ronin style, striking, and grappling.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir. We'll
It'll
be
be a
offering.
cool place.
We'll be offering, like I said, striking, grappling. That's Muay Thai kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, all kind in one. I'm getting everything kind of figured out exactly schedule-wise.
Right.
But it'll all be after school and that kind of thing. I
Yeah.
got to be able to get the kiddos in, and then the adults
For sure.
classes will be after that.
Yeah. Cool.
But,
and we'll once you get your doors open, we're going to do a live podcast there at location.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Sweet. All right, everybody, y'all have a great week, and we will see you next time.
Sweet.
Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives.